Hi there, people. Welcome to another edition of Counterpunch with Trevor Loudon, the show that looks at and counters the unfolding world communist revolution. Please like the show, share the show, and subscribe on EpochTV. I'm sorry I haven't been on for a little while. It's not that I don't care anymore. I have been absolutely flat out working day and night on my latest project, which is a new book, or two books actually. It's called Security Risk Senators, Part 1 and Part 2. And Part 1 will be released October 1st. You can pre-order it now, but it's released October 1st. And this is a pitch, absolutely. All of you need to understand just how deeply penetrated the United States Senate is by foreign enemies and domestic. Why would you target the US Senate? Well, the Senate is what makes treaties. The Senate is about defense policy. The Senate is about deals with other nations. So you can bet that the governments of Russia and China and Iran and Cuba and Venezuela and many other nations who may at times be a little hostile to the United States care very much about what the Senate does, and they care very much about who is in the US Senate. Imagine if you were, say, Xi Jinping, and you wanted to take down America. You wanted to damage America, wreck the economy, cut the military, all sorts of things. You would want to deal with the US Senate because you'd be thinking this: do I really want to get into a multi-billion-dollar trade war with the United States just now when my economy is teetering? Do I really want to risk a multi-trillion-dollar shooting war? Possibly. But it would be better if I had more enemies operating in the US government to help that war effort. What's going to happen with Taiwan? What are China's plans for the Pacific? All of this and America's reaction is very heavily dependent on the US Senate. It's the most powerful political decision-making body on the planet. What would you do? What's a more productive use and less dangerous use of resources? A trade war, a shooting war, or co-opting American senators and congressmen? It's not hard to figure out, is it? But surely that couldn't happen because, you have security around the US Senate. You have background checks. You have scrutiny on these people. Well, no, actually you don't. There are virtually no background checks in the US Congress or the US Senate for either members or staffers these days. Now, do you think the Chinese know about this? Do you think the Iranians know about this? And the Nicaraguans and the Venezuelans and the North Koreans and the Russians? Do you think they understand that the United States Senate, with the most powerful lawmakers on the planet, that has a massive impact on what happens to Russia or China, there are no background checks on any of their staff and on any of the senators themselves? But surely that, there's not going to be bad guys in the US Senate, right? Or bad women, because, the media would warn us about these people. Well, how's that been working out? When Dianne Feinstein of California, it was revealed that she had a Chinese spy working in her office for 20 years. She said, he's my driver. He was her office manager. He had Defense Department documents going across his desk. He was delegated to attend events at the Chinese consulate in San Francisco by the senator. He was her most senior staff member, and she publicly tried to deflect attention away from him. She was the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee when he was working in her office. And what happened to this man? Nothing. What happened to Senator Feinstein? Nothing.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is filing a resolution that seeks to remove Representative Eric Swalwell from the House Intelligence Committee. McCarthy says this is because of Swalwell's ties to a suspected Chinese communist spy.
What about when Eric Swalwell, also in California, a congressman, was caught in a liaison with a Chinese spy, Christine Fong, who was very close, by the way, to Russell Lowe, who was Feinstein's spy? What happened when that was revealed? Nancy Pelosi kept Swalwell on the Intelligence Committee. So these things are going on. I've written the book called Security Risk Senators. It'll be available on my website, trevorloudon.com, October 1st. If you go to my shop, just go to trevorloudon.com. But sometimes You may have to put trevorloudon.com in the search bar at the top of the page because occasionally Google forgets my IP address, and you can order it there. You can order part 2 as well, which will be coming out soon after. Now, the first book deals with senators from Arizona all the way through to Massachusetts. The second book will deal with senators from Michigan all the way through to Wisconsin. What could I have on these senators? What could I fill a 350-page book with that would be so worth reading for Americans? Well, we'll go through a few of them. Kyrsten Sinema from Arizona, very much regarded as the moderate senator, the oil company's senator, stood in the breach for a long time against the radical programs of the Democratic Party.
I will not support separate actions that worsen the underlying disease of division infecting our country.
Though she tends to have folded more in recent times. Well, she has extensive connections to the Arizona Communist Party. These weren't just back in the early 2000s. She's had connections all the way through. She's had at least one Communist Party member working on her election staff. The Communist Party campaigned for her in the last election. They say in their literature, well, she sort of turned out more like a Hillary Clinton Democrat. She used to be a radical. Well, we know what Hillary Clinton did. She was an extreme radical who pretended to move to the center to get elected. Well, what's Kyrsten Sinema doing? And also from Arizona, Mark Kelly. Well, we know about Mark Kelly's big business involvement with Communist China. He used to go around hawking vitamin supplements, riding a motorcycle with the Chinese and American flags. He even advertised these supplements from space when he was an astronaut. He met his wife, Gabby Giffords, in China in 2002 at a big conference run by a front for the Chinese Communist Party. But he also has some interesting connections with an Iranian front as well. And Mark Kelly, a supposedly moderate Democrat, has come out in favor of Obama's, or now Biden's, Iran nuclear deal. The nuclear deal, which gives Iran tons and tons of money, lifts American sanctions on Iran, and basically gives the mullahs the green light to create nuclear weapons. Well, Mark Kelly, who was a bit diffident on the deal, is now firmly in favor of it. And he has connections to a pro-Iranian political action committee. So what I'm saying is this, folks, I want you to get the book, not just because it makes me money. This is how I survive, by the way, but it's important that I survive. But it's because we are living in a time of crisis. And we have got to this crisis because so many of our leaders are compromised. The grassroots of America, the grassroots of Canada and Britain and Australia, New Zealand, France, Germany, Hong Kong, India, they're patriots. Brazil, they love their country. But in virtually every Western country, they are being betrayed by their leadership. And as I made the point before, if you're an enemy of a particular nation, your best way forward is to buy and co-opt your enemy's politicians. And as America is the number one enemy of the tyrants of this world, guess what they've been doing? You wonder why we had a nuclear deal with Iran. Look to the US Senate. You wonder why illegal immigration passed the US Senate. Look at some of the people serving. You wonder why the Senate is not standing up for America, that is not really standing against China. If you wonder why these things are happening, it's because so many of the US senators are compromised. They're basically working against the US Constitution while taking your money, and you need to know about it. Elections matter. So please check it out. Go to my website, trevorloudon.com. Security Risk Senators Part 1. Part 2 will be available soon. Check out the other books and DVDs I have available, especially Enemies Within the Church. That will knock your socks off, dealing about the Marxist infiltration of the evangelical churches. And look at White House Reds, my last book. If you want to know Joe Biden's background with the Council for a Livable World, you want to know Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg's extensive Marxist background, check out White House Reds. So I'm back, people. You'll see a lot more of me in the near future. I've got a whole lot of shows planned, so please stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks very much for watching. God bless America and God bless every one of you. Thank you.